Hello, everyone. So, we'll be going over Chapter 13, looking at the Internet. So, in our objectives today, we're going to be describing the nature of the Internet, describing packets and how they make their way across the Internet, differentiate between public and private networks, specify a network location in Windows, describe the function and characteristics of IP addresses, understand the domain name system, describe domain types, identifying parts of a URL, differentiate the internet from the World Wide Web, describe the role of HTML, CSS, and hyperlinks, use a web browser, describe different browsers, work with browser settings, describe browser functions and features, use bookmarks or favorites, handle pop-ups, cookies, and the browser cache, and understanding browser extensions, and describing website or web page standards. The Internet is a vast global network comprised of many smaller networks. The Internet backbone is a series of high-speed network owned and operated by Tier 1 providers. The Tier 1 networks connect with one another at Internet Exchange Points, IXPs. Consumers can connect to the Internet through a local Internet Service Provider, ISPs, who connects to a Tier 1 provider. Public networks. The Internet is a public network. When you connect to the Internet, you also potentially connect to everyone else who is connected. In network diagrams, the Internet is represented by a cloud. Specifying a network connection type. When you connect to a trusted network, specify the connection type as private. This will make your PC discoverable. When you connect to a public network, specify the network connection type as public. IP address review. So, IP4 uses dotted square quad notation. 66.235.120.127 is a sample IPv4 address. DNS, the domain name system, is a service that keeps track of which domain names are associated with a specific IP address. Domain names are text-based and easy to remember. Every domain consists of DNS records, which are stored in a DNS database. The DNS database is distributed or shared among DNS servers all over the Internet. So here we have a URL. So here's the various parts. So the www is the server name. The CCI learning is the registered domain name. And the .com is the top level domain name. So DNS domain levels, the root level domain, the top of the hierarchy represented by a dot. This domain contains entries for each top level domain. Top level domains .com, .net, .edu, and so on. Every domain name ends with a top level domain label. Second level domains are registered domain names such as Microsoft.com. So generic top level domains, we have .com for commercial sites, .net for commercial sites hosted by an internet service provider, .edu, sites associated with academic and research organizations, .gov, sites associated with local, regional, or national government, .int, sites associated with international organizations, .mil, sites associated with military organizations, and .org, sites associated with nonprofit organizations. A uniform resource locator, URL, is the global address of a resource on the World Wide Web. There are two parts, a protocol identifier and a domain name. So the HTTP is the protocol identifier, while the www.ccilearning.com is the domain name. Path and file names and URLs. So we have the HTTP www.opera.com/browser/mail/setup/account setup. Account setup is a web page. The browser's tutorials mail setup is the path to the folder on the web server where the page is stored. www is the name of the web server. Opera.com is the registered domain name of the company that owns the web server, and .com indicates that it is a commercial enterprise. A system of interlinked documents that are accessible to the net. If you can type its address in a web browser to get it, it is part of the web. If you can click a hyperlink to get to it, it is part of the web. What exactly is a web page? A web page is a document created by Hypertext Markup Language, which is HTML for short. Usually a web page contains hyperlinks to other web pages. A collection of related web pages is called a website. Now, kind of going back to this last bullet point here about collection of related web pages being called a website. A website doesn't need to be a collection. It could just be a single page, and that is still a website. So just kind of a clarifying point. HTML. It is a standardized language used to create web pages. Pages are built using HTML elements, which consist of tags enclosed in angle brackets. Most HTML tags are written in pairs, a opening tag and a closing tag. So as you can see here, it starts off with the type of HTML version that it's using, and then it's having everything inside the HTML tags. Go and say that this is for HTML. You have your header tags for your headings, then the body tag for the body of your web page. So CSS. Presentational attributes such as font size or boldface are defined in cascading style sheets. CSS. CSS allows you to keep content separate from presentation. The browser reads the HTML document for content and the style sheet for formatting as it renders the page. So here we have an example of our web page once again, but this time we have the CSS inserted in our head. And this is saying that for paragraph tags, we're going to use a font size as 25 pixels. And it's going to be in the center, and the color of the text is going to be red. Hyperlinks. A hyperlink is a reference to data that is located somewhere other than the present location. Hyperlinks are HTML elements defined with the anchor tag, so a tag. They take the form a href equals URL, link text, and closing anchor tag. So a example of that is the aref equals http://www.ccilearning.com, and then in between the two tags is the link text, visit CCI Learning. So that would be your link. Web browsers are software applications. They allow you to interact with the websites and experience multimedia. They provide a number of services. They are configurable. So here we have an example of a browser on the Bing website. So we have our address bar, a window tab, and the browser window title bar. So searching. You can enter your search criteria in the address bar and click the search button or press enter. Show address. You can click the show address button to display a history of the URLs. Security reports. Click the security report button, so the lock button, to view digital certificates, encryptions, information. Refresh or go. Click the refresh button to redisplay or refresh the contents of the current web page. The go to button displays in the address bar while you are typing a website address. You can click go to instead of pressing enter to go to the site. Stop. Click the stop button to halt the downloading of information for a web page. Here's another example of a web browser, and we have the vertical scroll bar with a scroll bar with the other parts that you can see. So browser windows, so tabs. Opening a new tab is the same as opening a new browser window. You can open a separate web page in each tab and switch between them by simply clicking on the tab. Only one tab can be the active tab at any given time. To create a new tab, click the new tab button or press Ctrl T, or right click the active tab and then click new tab, or if the menu bar is displayed, click file and then click new tab. Hyperlinks in the browser. Hyperlinks often display as underlined or colored text. They can also be displayed as pictures or icons. The mouse pointer changes to a pointing hand when it's positioned on the hyperlink. Click the hyperlink to move to its target. Popular web browsers. So there's Microsoft Edge, Microsoft Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, Google Chrome, Opera, and Apple Safari. And here are the various buttons for each browser type. Once again, more buttons. So this one in particular is the home page or your start page, to whatever you've designated in your browser as your home page. This is where it will take you whenever you click on that button. So in the settings, in Microsoft Edge, you can click on the triple dots for more and then click settings in the menu. In Google Chrome, you can click on the three bars, customize and control Google Chrome, and then click settings. In IE, you can click the cog tools, then click internet options. File size and connection speed considerations. So kind of like what we had talked about before, we have our sizes. So on the left side, there is our size for the capacity, and then the other side, which is our internet speeds, is how much information it can go and send out. So definitely do keep these things in mind as we go along. So the speed of your internet connection and the file size of the elements on a web page directly affect your browsing experience. So 4-minute song, maybe about 4 megs at 5 megabits per second will take about 4 to 5 seconds. 1 megabit might take 20 to 30 seconds. 5-minute video, a 30 megabyte megabyte file can take 30 to 40, or about 3 minutes, and kind of so on and so forth as you look through this table here of various things. Searching from the address bar. Microsoft Edge and Microsoft Internet Explorer use Bing as the default search engine for address bar searches. Google Chrome uses Google as its default search engine for address bar searches. To change the default in Chrome, click Customize and Control Google Chrome, then click Settings. In the search section, click the drop-down arrow to the right of Google and select the search engine to use. Adding to favorites, so Edge and IE, you can click the little star and add favorites or reading list. Specify a name and location, which is optional, and click Save. For IE, you can click View Favorites, Feeds, and History. Click Add to Favorites. Specify name and location, which is optional, and click Add. For Google Chrome, you can click the little star to bookmark the page. Specify the name and location, which is also optional once again, and click Done. Managing bookmarks. Browsers include bookmark management tools. Use these tools to create new bookmark folders and to move and delete bookmarks. Both of them will work like the panes in File Explorer. You can drag and drop bookmarks and right-click to open shortcut menus. Most include wizards to help you import bookmarks from other browsers. Deleting bookmarks or favorites. Right-click the bookmark on the bookmarks bar or favorites bar, then click delete from the shortcut menu, or open a bookmark management page or panel. Click a bookmark to select it and then press delete. Handling pop-ups, i.e. click Tools, Internet Options, Privacy, select or clear the Turn on Pop-up Blocker checkbox, or click Settings to open the Pop-up Blocker Settings dialog box. You can add websites to the allowed sites list. Handling pop-ups. For Chrome, click Customize and Control Google Chrome, Settings, Show Advanced Settings, click Content Settings, and scroll to the pop-up section. To add exceptions, click Manage Exceptions. Controlling your cookies. In Internet Explorer, from the Privacy tab of the Internet Options dialog box, in the Settings area, click Sites to configure cookie handling for specific websites, or click Advanced to specify whether to accept, block, or prompt when encountering cookies. In Microsoft Edge, click More, Settings, View Advanced Settings, then in the Cookie section, display the drop-down list to make a selection. In Chrome, you can click the Customize and Control Chrome, Settings, Show Advanced Settings, and then in the Privacy section, click Content Settings, make a selection, or click Manage Exceptions to create a cookie exception list. Browsing your history. In Chrome, you can click Customize and Control Google Chrome, point to History, then click History. To go to a site, click a link in the list. In Internet Explorer, click View Favorites, Feeds, and Histories, then click the History tab. Click a date to expand it so that it displays the sites visited on that day. In Microsoft Edge, click Hub, then click the History button, and then click the arrow beside a date to expand the list, and in the expanded list, click a site to visit. Deleting the browser history. When you delete your browsing history, you can also delete temporary internet files, cookies, and websites, data and stored passwords. To delete your browsing history in Chrome, click Customize and Control Google Chrome, Settings, Show Advanced Settings, then in the Privacy section, click Clear Browsing Data. In Internet Explorer, click Tools, point to Safety, click Delete Browsing History, select the desired option in the Delete Browsing History dialog box, then click Delete. Now, one of the things that I would like to also add about deleting your history and cookies and whatnot is, if you're on a public machine, you always want to make sure that you are deleting that so that no one is seeing any of the information for your activities, because there's no need for other people to know what you're doing. Also, for your own computer, it's also good to do that, just because in the case that for whatever reason you get compromised, well, that's one less piece of information for hackers to go and use against you. Browser extending technologies include plugins or add-ons and in-browser apps. Plugins generally have a file type associated with them. When you visit a website and your browser encounters a file type that it cannot natively support, you may be prompted to download and install a plugin so you can properly experience everything on the web page. Add-ons are browser-specific applications that modify the browser interface. Examples include a Google search toolbar or a Firefox theme. In-browser apps are web-based browser extensions designed to extend the functionality of a browser by linking it to a web service. Web page or website standards include site home page, navigation bar, widgets, expected pages, so about us, privacy policy, login page, online stores, and mouse behavior. So a home page. The starting point for a website contains links to all the other pages on the website, not the same as the browser home page. Navigation bar, the primary means of a navigation for a website. Similar to a table of contents for the site, it shows users what is on the site and provides a way to get them there. Breadcrumbs, a type of secondary navigation scheme that shows the user's location in a website. Usually display a text link separated by a / or a arrow to separate the levels and indicate the level of a particular page relative to the page length beside it. Widgets, small self-contained programs that run inside a container on a web page. The content for a widget comes from an outside source. Widgets display live dynamic content. Standard pages. This page gives information about the company, so the About Us, that owns the website, which often includes contact information, links to social media pages, employment opportunities, and perhaps information about the company philosophy and its owners or directors. The privacy policy. Any site that collects personal information should provide a description of how they use your personal information. Login page. Sites that allow access to secure areas usually provide a page for signing in to your account. Online stores. Sites that allow you to make purchases over the internet host online stores. These may be subsections of the main website or may be entirely separate sites that you can access from the main site. Using a mouse on the web. So a single click. Use a single click to follow a link or click a button to perform an action. Double click. Many users double click links even though a single click is all that's necessary. If you double click within the web page, you can select a word. Sometimes double clicking can cause difficulty using an online store. Delay click or long presses. Holding down the left mouse button on a link or clickable button generally has no result until you release the mouse button. On a touchscreen device, however, a long press may open a shortcut menu or may select text and offer to copy the selection to the clipboard. Pointing. When you hold the mouse pointer over some web elements, you may be able to view the contents of a pull-down menu or target of a hyperlink. Mouse over. Mouse over is a special effect that displays when you pass or point your mouse over a specific object on the screen. Popular mouse over effects are to change the appearance of a button or link or to display a drop-down menu. Drag and drop. HTML5 supports drag and drop. That is, you can drag an object from one place on a web page and drop it into another location. So, you guys had some experience with this when we were working on the cloud storage and we were dropping stuff into our Google Drive from our desktop to the browser window. So, to go over the chapter objectives, we describe the nature of the internet, describe packets and how they make their way across the internet, differentiate between public and private networks, specify a network location in Windows, describe the function and characteristics of IP addresses, understand the domain name system, describe domain types, identify parts of a URL, differentiate the internet from the World Wide Web, describe the role of HTML, CSS, and hyperlinks. Use a web browser, describe different browsers, work with browser settings, describe browser functions and features, use different use bookmarks and favorites, handling pop-ups, cookies, and the browser cache, understanding browser extensions, and describing website or web page standards. So thank you very much, and I will see you in our next session.